Namaste, welcome to another episode of Navavimarsh. So today we are going to read the part 2 of our reading session on the book the book Maharanas by Dr. Omendra Ratnu. Yeah, so here we have the book. If you can see his book, let me just yeah. So if you can see, here's the book. That book we have. So we are going to read the second part of the book, and again, we have Shekhar with us. Shekhar is our guest reader. So he read the first part of the book. Now he will be reading the second part, the chapter one of the book. So before we go ahead and read the book, we will do is we are going to share you the information where you can get the book. So I would request every one of you, if you can, go ahead, buy this book. This is a very important book written by Dr. Omin Ratnu, okay, who has been doing such great work with the Hindus of Pakistani Hindus, resettling them. He also has a foundation called Nimitta Foundation. You can, I'll post the link here for everybody to see. So here is the link. I'll also pin the link here. So you can go ahead and buy this book. And now, Shekhar, before we start the reading, so you had gone through the book. So could you give us a bit glimpses what we will hear on the book today, on the chapter one, just to give a bit of a, without any giving any what we say spoilers, what we can expect on the first chapter.
There's not much. The starting would be from the man or the founder of the Sisodia dynasty of the Mewar. Okay, he founded the
Mm-hmm.
dynasty, which still continues.
Mm-hmm.
1,400 years old. The dynasty
Mm-hmm.
still continues, and there is not much information about him. Whatever there is, it is in myths and the miracles and in those story type information we have. No direct historical record because the everything was destroyed. So there's not much there. But from what we know, the invaders, they wrote about him, and
Mm-hmm.
what their descendant wrote about him, we know from those
Mm-hmm.
instances pretty much.
Got it. Very good. So fine. So now I am going to share the link, share the screen where you can, where we will get the book. We have a physical copy of the book, not a physical, a digital copy of the book that we had, we were able to get. So we will read from them. Previously, actually, we read. Yeah. Let me just get the PDF prepped. Give us a few seconds. Till then, let me just go and yeah, yeah, Shekhar. So you okay? So can you give us a little bit of glimpse of what kind of content, what kind of chapters are there beyond chapter one? Okay, till then I prep the PDF.
Uh, uh, all the chapter pretty much contain the resistance which were given by the Maharanas of Mewar, the Mewar dynasty, against the
Mm-hmm.
invaders, various invaders, from the Arabs to Turks to I think Mughals. Mughals were basically Turks, but the Mongols, they were Mongols rather than Turks per se,
Mm-hmm.
and the resistance was continued till I think Britishers. The house was not extinguished, so there's that. And there are some some very big figures in this line of royal family, like the
Mm-hmm.
founders and their descendant, and the most famous we know of the Maharana Pratap. There is much
Mm-hmm.
content on that, focus on that, because we have written records from the Europeans. So we know
Mm-hmm.
we have primary sources from the others that would not be biased per se, because they were new and they were not that biased initially when they came to India. There was bias, but not that much. When they recorded the battles and all those things, they were pretty accurate on that front. And there, other than that, we also have information about the other descendants from, like I said, stories and temple structures, which they would carve their lifeline, l- life history on their temples, which their descendants built. So we got
Mm-hmm.
information from them, and I think most of the time was wars and heroic resistance, which were provided by the this dynasty. And
Mm-hmm.
this dynasty pretty much saved the Indian subcontinent per se, because the funnel from which the invaders came was very narrow, in the sense they
Mm-hmm.
could came from the southern part of the Rajasthan where Gujarat was, but the area was very arid. So the armies would be very limited in numbers, because they
Mm-hmm.
would not be able to supply themselves. So the only way to come was from the northern portion, where Delhi and Haryana, Punjab region, and from there
Mm-hmm.
to the Kashmir region, which was uh, further north, was a very mountainous region. So the gap was very shallow. The invaders have to
Okay.
come from that shallow gap, and that too
Mm-hmm.
after they crossing the Indus. So if
Mm-hmm.
the resistance is provided, and the location was very strategic, invaders could be stopped if all the Hindu kingdoms prepared themselves against them. So
Got
they would not
understood.
be swarmed by the manpower of the invaders.
Yeah. So now we have the book prepped ready. So are you able to see the screen? Could you just confirm the audience?
Yes, yes.
Audience.
Screen is there.
Okay. Do let me know. Do let me know if you can read the text. So I will enlarge the text. We are using a new EPUB reader. So just there might be some challenges, but we'll get over them. So don't worry about it. But do let me know in case you are able to read the text. If you
Uh,
can read the text,
I
we will
think
go ahead
PDF
and
would be
start the reading.
better. No, PDF would be
PDF
better.
would
No,
be
you can open the PDF rather
uh,
than EPUB if it's
okay.
too minute.
You have given me the PDF as well. Let me
Both.
just check.
Yes, yes. Group in the group
Okay, you have in the
international
group
section.
share. Let me just international section. No, okay. Can you send me the
Subcontinent or
PDF?
international section.
No, no. You send me the
Yeah,
PDF
yeah. Wait a minute.
on the book reading club. Book reading club. So I will be able to fetch it. Book reading club. And anyway, we will experiment this with this as well. I think this is not also not a bad option. So we'll just try to get this. I will enlarge this.
I sent.
Yeah, sent na? Okay. Let me just fetch it now.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm. You have sent to book reading club. Yeah, I got it now. It's now here. EPUB is a better option, but maybe it doesn't work with
Yeah,
everything.
the app have to be optimized for that.
Yeah, so the app is not really optimized. So what we'll do is I'm just sending this to Done. It's in this 30 seconds. Yeah, it's clunky. Not as good as we thought of it. Cool. Done.
No, no.
Well
The
done.
the only initial picture was be blur. The content would be rather okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem. We have one more reader coming in as well. So it's going to be a good, eventful day for us.
So how is the PDF?
PDF is fine. I'm just loading the PDF now, and I'm going to share
Mhm.
the PDF itself. So yeah, we also have the one more guest joined in. Yeah, so we have Rishi with us. Hello, Rishi.
Hello, Dada. Hello, Shekhar. Namaste to all the audiences.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Yeah, so actually we were just discussing a few things. So Shekhar, we are going to read correct page number 30, correct?
Mm, yeah, 29.
29. Okay. Well, acknowledgement, we have part one, correct? We are going to read Mapparawal. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I think you should be able to view the text. Let me just do this. 200 is fine. Okay, let's go ahead and read.
Yeah, yeah. Papparaval, the conqueror of Arabia. The date is not fixed when he was born or how long he lived, but it is approx from 728 to 758 CE. The basically 8th century. Fathered by Nagadit and mothered by Kamlavati, Pappa Rawal was born as a direct descendant of Goilot dynasty. He was named Kalbhoj at birth. Later, he was called Bappa, meaning father, as a form of endearment by the people of the Mewar. The Goilot dynasty traces its lineage to Love, the son of Rama, Sri Rama. It later went on to become the mighty Sisodiya dynasty that ruled Mewar for an uninterrupted 1400 years and adorned the royal line and throne of Udaipur even today. Bappa Rawal had a tormented and deprived childhood. He was taken by his mother to the safety of the jungles of Bhindar in Mewar, where he was protected by Bhils of Yadu descent. The Bhil king Mandalik protected Bappa during his childhood. This was beginning of Bhil's association with royal lineage of Mewar, an association that continues even today. Bappa is said to have met a Shaiva mystic, Harit Sadhu, who revealed to him the mysteries of Shaiva Tantra, principles of morality and lessons in warfare, along with a plan to lead Hindu resistance to Islam by winning back Chittor and re-establishing Rajput control over Mewar. As it happens with many ancient figures, Bappa's history is replete with anecdotes of many miracles, which are not a matter of focus for the writer. Hmm. Being with the mystic sadhu, Appa developed a deep devotion of Bhagwan Eklingji, an avatar of Shiva and the presiding deity of the Mewar royal house till date. Bappa had vision of goddess Bhavani, who blessed him and instructed him to serve Muri dynasty of Chittor, which was the most powerful center of sovereign India at the time. Bappa was received well at Chittor by Muri king Manmuri, the then ruler of Chittor. Bappa was designated as a Samant and granted a suitable estate. It was at this time that arms of Islam for the first time crossed the Indus through Sindh and entered Bharatvarsha. Hmm. In 712 CE, at the age of 17, Muhammad bin Qasim of Arabia attacked Raja Dahir Sen of his Sindh. Several attempts by Qasim were repulsed by Dahir and his valorous brother. Then the Buddhists of Sindh, who were alienated from Dahir, joined hands with Qasim. At Niran, the Buddhist head of the town, Bandark, Bandarkar Samani, not only helped Qasim to cross Sindhu River, but also supplied enough food to meet the needs of an army. Thus, the traitors gave Qasim entry to the Hindu king's garrison, resulting in the defeat of Dahir's army at the Battle of Aror. Hmm. Beside the Buddhists, local Maith tribe also supported Qasim and added to his numbers. Hmm.
Yeah.
Dahir's
So just
forces. Hmm,
wait a minute. So just sorry for
hmm,
interruption. So this Maid tribe, do you
hmm.
know about, because you are from that locality? So like audience might want to understand the Maid tribe, like who they are, or maybe Rishi can also shed a light on this. Who are this
I,
Maid tribe?
I wouldn't know because this is not Rajasthan area, no. This is Sindh area, the uh, Sindhu
Okay.
River area. So uh, during those times, there were forests near uh, the river, both sides of river, but there were forested areas. So there were many tribes residing there. Even the Punjab, whole Punjab region was forested during those times. So not much known there.
Yeah, I got it. The Maid tribes are divided into four original clans: the Chilmarzai, the Jalarzai, Gazbur, and Ormari. All are named after their progenitors except Ormari, which denotes someone from Ormara in Gwadar. A well-known Maid group is that of Kumari, which engages solely in it's interesting. The maids have vague traditions of having originated in Sindh, but now consider themselves and looked by others as Baloch. Interesting. Okay, now we will delve deeper into this little bit later. Let's, because it's an interesting thing is there. Yeah, go ahead, Shekhar.
Hmm. Dair's forces and his sons and brothers fought a fierce battle but were finally defeated because of treachery by the locals. Consequently, Qasim beheaded Dahir and his brother, captured Dahir's daughters, and forcefully carried them off to Baghdad to offer to the then Caliph of Arabia, the cruel Hajiz bin Yusuf, as sex slaves. Qasim, armed with the loot of the riches of Sindh, was able to raise an army of mercenaries and moved eastward to attack Mewar. Todd writes that slain Raja Dahir's son escaped to Chittor and informed Bappa about the fall of Sindh and how women were being abducted as sex slaves. Hmm. Sex slavery was unheard of in a Hindu civic and military life at the time. Uh, I think in 7th century there were mentions of some text there when the people, I think some princess or some caravans were going from Ujjain to Afghanistan. The Turks were
Mm-hmm.
attacking them. I think 7th, yeah, between 7 to 10th century. I think during that period. So there, slavery was, I think, very prevalent at the time. In
Yeah,
I
but
think
see, but
after Bappa, after
yeah. So
this,
I
they came now.
understand.
Hmm.
Yeah. The author mentions, correct. There is no concept of slavery at all, actually, in Hindu tradition. Okay,
Hmm.
like there are actually the scriptural evidences and scriptural instructions, okay, on the slave itself, okay. But in Hindu tradition for thousands of years we haven't seen this kind of concept come in. It's very alien to us, okay, in terms of
Hmm.
this slavery and other things. So that's very like interesting that we have this modern literature on atrocities, But we have, if you go back to our scriptures, the original scriptures from Vedas to Upanishads to Quran to other literature, where we don't see a concept of slaves coming in. So it is very new to the Indian psyche itself. Go ahead.
Hmm. Because if you read the classics of other civilization or other countries, you will find mentions of slavery everywhere. But Indian case, it's missing. The part of slavery was wholly missing. So there's
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Before the arrival of Islamic invaders, Hindu kings too fought against each other to acquire territory and power. The rules of engagement for the armies were clearly laid down, and none would ever violate those norms. Two armies of Hindu kings would fight each other, and the victorious king would take over the defeated kingdom, either appointing the defeated king as vassal or driving him out of the kingdom. But the citizenry, peasantry, and mercantile class and artisans would never be touched. Everyday life would carry on as usual, with the transfer of power only at the monarch level. To capture women flow of the royal house or even the citizenry was inconceivable in the Hindu ethos. Hmm. Islamic zealots brought with them this evil of physically subjugating and violating women of this great Vedic Bhumi. And thus, the greatest living civilization of all time was infected in thought and action by misogynistic belief system from the lands of Arabia. Hmm. I think even Persians had slavery, as far
Mm-hmm.
as I know. Even Persians had slavery, no?
I okay. The audience can actually enlighten us, or maybe Rishi. What do you think? This Persian had that?
I think
Yeah, hmm. Yeah, Rishi.
Uh, so, yeah, so I have heard at least that in the case of Persians, some of them, at least now in Twitter and all, try saying that Cyrus, one of their kings, enacted the first so-called Charter of Human Rights, where slavery was supposedly banished or something. But I don't agree with this. I think there was slavery, as Shekhar is saying. I think so. There was slavery,
because
or else how would
because
we explain
uh,
the kinds of things which they did to other societies? Hmm. Uh, Shikhar.
because even during the Sassanid periods, there were slaves fighting or uh, mm, doing some kind of work in their society. I think because they were dealing with Greeks, no? The majority of the region, Anatolian region, was Greek during those time, and the Persians were fighting for that area. So the slavery was, I think, very common in those areas. So the cultural phenomena, there is not much different if we go by that. Like the similar cultures that are bordering each other will would have particularly similar characteristics, like the slavery and the things as such.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
so.
I think
Uh,
yes. So I think the Romans had the slaves. Greeks had like a tradition of owning slaves. So I think it
Hmm.
goes it goes bit far. So maybe I think we can consult a few more books on those to
Hmm.
actually okay. So there is one more thing which is important. This,
Hmm.
as we are talking about, so actually I just remembered something. Okay. So
Hmm.
let me just, so correct, we have this book, Ian Sinclair, The Gold Machine. Okay. So
Hmm.
we know that the Europeans who were colonizing the South American region, okay, they
Hmm.
actually kept a lot of slaves. Hmm.
Yeah,
Thousands
yeah,
of
yeah.
people were
In
actually
mass.
in mass, correct.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this study, and it cannot be that they learned it by themselves. Okay, there would have been traditions of owning slaves. Okay, So we see enough documentation from Greeks to Roman era, and maybe previously as well, where slave owning was a kind of part of the economy itself. Okay. Where, but
Hmm.
we don't see that evidence here in from whether in Sindhu civilization or Satya civilization to beyond. So that is something quite alien to us. I think the author is quite well-meaning in terms of putting that point. Hindu civilization actually did not had this concept of one individual owning another individual as an economic thing.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
interesting. But go ahead, read the book. I will just change the format a little bit.
Hmm. Next, to the PDF.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just doing that itself.
Huh.
Uh, PDF. Hold on. I think where the PDF is gone. Let me reshare it again. Yeah, go ahead.
Hmm.
Go ahead. You are able to
Bappa
see it?
was enraged. Hmm. Hmm. Bappa was enraged when he learned of the treatment of Mohan by Qasim, but also understood that the need for a combined Hindu alliance to check the onslaught of these murderers from the alien lands. He readied himself for a long haul as he anticipated that these attacks by the Mlechas, those with evil intent, would go on ceaselessly, and a continuous struggle would be required if the land and dharmas of Hindus were to be saved. Hmm. Bappa Rawal, leading leading the Mewar army, struck alliance with the brave Nagbhatta I of Gujara Pratihara dynasty, ruling the Malwa region in today's Madhya Pradesh. Bappa also allied with uh, Pulak, Pulakesh Raja and Jayabhatta of Gujarat, and the joint Rajput forces fought the Arab Muslim invaders in the crucial Battle of Rajasthan. Nagabhatta approached Chalukya king Jai Simha Varma of South India, who sent his son Pulakesh Raja to assist the Hindu formation. It was Junaid al-Mari who led the Arabs and had been partially successful in southern Gujarat, Malwa, and southern Rajasthan. The Kutch, the area where I think the Jaisalmer and the Kutch area where the passage would be possible from the Sindh area to come in the Gujarat region from there. Hmm. Somewhere in 738, somewhere around Jodhpur of present-day Marwar, this decisive battle was fought between 5,000 to 6,000 Hindu troops against 60,000 Arabs. The Arabs were comprehensively routed and Junaid was killed. Thus, the Umayyad dynasty of Arabia was sent a clear message by the Hindus to stay away from this pious land. What the Arabs were able to achieve in a few decades in Middle East, Persia, Mesopotamia, Syria, or per se Syria, North Africa, was denied vehemently on our lands by the Triple Alliance led by Bappa. This act of Bappa had huge implications not only for the Western India but the entire world, as the advent of militant Islam was halted on the western frontier of our nation, and the Far East and China was saved by default. Hmm. We can only imagine the consequences of an Arab victory over the Hindus, plus with money and manpower of our great land, Islam would have become unstoppable by any army of the world. Hmm. I think his point about the money and manpower is quite right in the sense, because India was heavily developed and urbanized during that time, and
Yes,
money
that
was
is
even the
very.
richest, I think.
Yeah, see, what you are talking about is very important because that is also the point which is really very frequently discussed by AIM, Abhit Ayar Mitra, that
Hmm.
urbanization of a area, okay, and the civilization
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
intrinsically linked to their prosperity in terms of trade, in terms of their society, art, culture.
Hmm.
Okay, so the
Hmm.
rural societies lack the kind of industrial output. Okay, in the sense of how much they are producing. Okay, not in terms of factories, but in terms of industrial output, efficiency of their labor. Okay, people. If a lot of people, number of people live together in a small area, that creates a kind of confluence of ideas where new ideas come about. Okay. And that is what urban space does to the society as a whole. Okay. So in
And
that context, yeah, the wealth is
hmm.
very linked to where you live. Where you live in a very rural setting where they're sparsely populated,
Hmm.
or you have what we call an urban centric civilization, which was actually ancient India. We had a lot of big cities and small cities. Go ahead.
Hmm. The second point was the Gupta Empire. The fall of the Guptas had not been even the century has passed since then. So the urbanization was quite heavily concentrated in the Ganga Valley region, the plain region, Ganga plain region.
Mm.
The whole plain region would have been highly concentrated and near the cities during those times, like Ujjain and Ayodhya, Prayagraj, and stuff like that. Patliputra, and those places would have been highly developed. Yeah, I think
Yes.
even till 14th century, the Indian subcontinent was highly developed. I think it was after the Delhi Sultanate was defeated that the local rulers were plundering the whole scene, because Delhi Sultanate was merely plundering and continuing their wars. They were not ruling per se, because they would leave the ruling to local rulers. So they were not much involved in the activity of economics.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you are mentioning is very important in that context is that the wealth of India. So I think India consisted about 35 to 40% of the world economy. Okay, in many juncture of time, and it was when like we were
During
competing.
Gupta, yeah. Hmm.
So and I think Chinese and the Indians were the primary traders and manufacturers. Okay, and you also had the Greeks and the Romans there on the other side.
I don't know about
Rishi, do you have a
Yes.
Ri- Rishi? Do you have anything to add to this? I think you know a little bit more history than us.
On what exactly are you asking?
On the wealth of Indian civilization, okay, and the importance of urban civilization. So urban centric development that Bharat was previously, where you had a Patliputra, Magad, all these kingdoms who would have a big cities with large populations, and they created a kind of a economic engine, which actually India was at that time.
So mainly your points, I think, are apt, I guess. I cannot like add more on this. Maybe the only fact uh, left, I guess, is that maybe in those areas where there were no such so-called urbanization, those were the areas which fell first victim to the invasions, right? In the northwestern areas of India, so present-day Pakistan and all such areas, and especially these areas of Sindh and all, where the Med tribe and all of those were there. Maybe those were very underdeveloped and village-like areas, and which is why they could not sustain themselves against such invasion.
Yes, and one more point actually,
And
which is important to highlight, is that uh, we have seen no ancient or modern civilization has vanished because of more population. So we see a lot of narrative being now weaved around depopulation or more people are bad. Okay, but every civilization has survived because they had people who could carry on their lineage, culture, tradition, trade, business, and war. Okay, so this narrative around and India was a like a highly dense populated country. Okay, especially the Ganga plains were the densely populated place since eternity. Okay, Banaras, the the eternal city of Banaras, okay, or Varanasi, has been existing, and it had a very dense population. Okay, and it survived, and still it is there. But people where there are less populations, they have vanished from the earth itself. So population as per se is not a bad thing. So we were talking about previously regarding Tokyo and Taiwan. Tokyo and Taiwan are one
Hmm.
of the most densely populated uh, urban spaces on this earth, and and see how they are the economic engines. The economy of Tokyo till today is bigger than some of the countries put together. Okay, and that's happening because of they have a very dense population and they are able to manage it. So having a high dense population is not a problem if you can manage it, if you can use the human resource in a proper way.
Hmm.
which would require
Hmm.
good economic policies. And for that, if one needs to have such institutions which can provide such insights, I guess. And India had those back then.
Hmm.
Yes. Go ahead. Let's continue the reading.
Hmm. The writer doesn't believe that a nation can have a father, but if at all such a pedestal needs to be granted to a mortal, it should be reserved for Papa Rawal, who saved Hinduism from a darkness that would have irreversibly engulfed us. Sans Bappa, India would have become a part of the Islamic Caliphate, and economic doom and slavery would have engulfed the citizens. There would have been no Vedic culture, Sanatan Dharma left, just as everything un-Islamic was destroyed in the Caliphate. Hindus must also be deeply grateful to Pratihara king Nagabhatta and Pulakesha Raja, who preempted the Islamic threat and aligned with Bappa to repel the invasion on our Dharma. If these glorious ancestors of ours could defeat the Maharanas from Arabia during those difficult times, what prevents the modern day Hindus to repeat the feat? We will be worthy descendants of Bappa only and only when all Hindus unite to defeat the Islamic imperialism. Hmm. Bappa was a fierce warrior with a deep understanding of a human mind. He also understood that the nature of threat posed by Qasim's invasion when Raja Dahir's son escaped Qasim's attack on Sindh and took refuge in Mewar, informing Bappa of the religious fanaticism and cruelty of the Arabs. The Arabs were decimated in the Battle of Rajasthan and chased back up to Iran by Bappa. According to Todd, Arab historians themselves wrote, not a place of refuge could be found against the Hindu fury. Hmm. Next picture. Hmm. Bappa's way of swearing secrecy and loyalty from his companions is still preserved in Mewar. Digging a small pit and taking a pebble in his hand, he would he would roar, "Swear secrecy and obedience to me in good and evil, that you will reveal all to me that you hear, and failing that, the good deeds of your forefathers may, like this pebble," dropping the pebble into the pit, "fall into the washerman's well." All his followers willingly took the oath. Hmm. I think this still goes on, as far as I know. This method of
Uh,
secrecy.
yeah. So okay. So Didi is asking about the book. So there is a book. Let me just share that book itself. So here is the book, Sri Bappa Rawal Shrinkhala Kand to Vijay Yatra. So it's in Hindi. Okay. So I think this would have some detailed history of Bappa Rawal.
Hmm.
So people who want to explore more of Bappa Rawal history, they can go ahead and so this the author is Utkarsh Srivastav. Yeah, go ahead.
Hmm. The Arab mercenaries were decimated by Bappa and his allies, forcing them to flee to their native lands like Gujarat, Saurashtra, and Sindh. Bappa did not relent and continued to chase the Arabs invaders up to Iran. He found the city of Ghazni in Afghanistan. Oh, देखो, in possession of one of Salim. ये, uh, I think they initially took the Ghazni city, I think, but not the
Yeah.
valley per se. Hmm. Bappa defeated and captured Salim and married his daughter. He also put his nephew in charge of the city, thus secured Afghanistan as a Hindu kingdom for a few centuries to come. He
And
erected few
wait a minute.
checkposts at.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, Shikhar. So that's very important to understand. Correct. So now people who have not read the history books as such, okay, in schools or in colleges, they will not know that like Afghanistan once was a kind of a Hindu kingdom. It became a Buddhist kingdom, but it was also an Hindu kingdom in many centuries ago.
Hmm,
So that would be
hmm,
news to a lot of people. People will think, okay, Afghanistan has been this warrior kind of state for almost eternity, but that's not the case. Go ahead.
hmm. He erected checkposts at regular intervals on his way back from Arabia. Arabia. These were instrumental in halting further invasions by Islamic armies for next 400 years. Ahmed bin Qasim's karma caught up with him in Baghdad. The Chachanama, Chachanama, a 13th century Persian manuscript written by Hamid bin al-Bakr Kufi, narrates an incident in which Qasim's demise is attributed to the daughters of Dahir. Upon capture, the two daughters of Dahir, Surya Devi and Primala Devi, were sent over to fill the caliph al-Hajij al-bin Ibn Yusuf's harem in Baghdad. The account relates that the girls then tricked the caliph into believing that Qasim had violated them before sending them over. This subterfuge, I think subterfuge, enraged the caliph, and Qasim was wrapped and stitched in oxen hide and dispatched to Syria. In 1715, Muhammad bin Qasim died en route from suffocation. Thus, the Hindu girls secured retribution for their father's death and informed Caliph that they had lied to him to punish Qasim. This revelation filled the Caliph with remorse and rage, and eventually he ordered the sisters to be buried alive in a wall. This practice of burying alive in wall, I think, is very old. I
But
think
not
Turks
here.
learned
Correct.
this from Arabia. Hmm.
Maybe. Go ahead.
Hmm. That two helpless girls could use their intelligence to extract a revenge for the murder of their father should be a source of inspiration for all Hindu women. Anyone who harms our family and rapes innocent women, girls should face retribution as per the principle of natural justice. Hmm. Thousands of miles from home, surrounded by medieval barbarians, scared by the decimation of their family, how those two delicate princesses maintained their mental balance and devised the story to incite Hajat against Qasim is something that will fill our hearts with respect and gratitude for those brave girls. Hmm. The sacrifice of these two princesses should find place in Hindu history with reverence and pride. But I think they are not even mentioned. Mm.
Yeah.
Bappa's triumphant Arab campaign catapulted him to the status of miraculous warrior. He annexed Chittor from the Maurya dynasty in 716 to establish the present-day Mewad dynasty, proclaiming himself as Maharao Bappa Rawal. It is difficult to establish whether Bappa killed or exiled Manmori to annex Chittor. Amar Kavya states that I think this is The I think some book or story relating to this capture states that Manmori was killed by Bappa. Hmm. According to the chronicles available in Chittor, Bappa took Chittor from Mori and himself became the More, the crown of the land. Bappa was also named the son of the Hindus, Hindu Suraj, and the protector of princes, Rajaguru, titles which are attached to the royal family of Mewar even today. The title of Raval was given to Bappa by his Bhil army and friends. Hmm, Ra stands for Rajya or state. Va stands for Varatva or blessings. L stands for Lakshmi or wealth. Ravala. Bappa's campaign had another positive effect on the Hindu kingdoms of Lahore and Peshawar. In 761, the Afghans of Kirman and Peshawar, which were originally a Coptic colony of Egypt, crossed the I think ये
Hmm.
कंफर्म करना पड़ेगा कॉप्टिक कॉलोनी वाला.
Yeah, yeah. We need to check. Anyway, we'll just read it, then we will
Hmm.
discuss this. No problem. Just,
Crossed the Indus to travel eastward and attack the Hindu ruler of Lahore. Within 5 months of this event, 70 battles were fought with the varied outcomes. The last one, the Rajput Hindu prince of Lahore, carried his army to Peshawar and a truce was signed. Thus happened a union of interest, and all of Kohistan, west of Indus, was ceded to them on the condition of guarding this barrier into Hindustan against any invasion. The Rajput erected the fortress of Khyber in the chief pass of Daman el Kho. For 2 long centuries after this, peace prevailed in what is known as Upper Sindh and Punjab today, and India was rendered accessible only through southern Sindh, thus narrowing the chances of Islamic invaders to attack Hindustan. Southern, it is very difficult to attack from the southern Sindh, no, because the whole region is the western part of the Sindh is the whole Balochistan area is very arid. Then
hmm, hmm,
nothing
hmm,
grows
hmm.
there.
Yeah, and one
It,
more
it
thing
is
which
nigh
actually,
impossible. Hmm.
yes, yes, yes. And one more thing which is very important that is not taught in our textbooks or on history books
Hmm.
is that we learned from our history books that okay, the invaders came from the Afghanistan corridor to Sindh and they conquered
Hmm.
Bharat.
Hmm.
But the kind of resistance, the kind of success, the kind of fierce battle which took place, and for 300 years it was halted. Correct. So this is something which is missing in our history. Okay. So we actually, with our readings, is our endeavor to actually teach those omitted histories which are very important in the context of our history being known. Our real
Hmm.
heroes are being unmasked from our history books, which were written to actually promote a certain kind of ideology and certain kind of narrative. So people who are listening to this, who are watching this, okay, we would request every one of you the book by Dr. Ominder Ratnu, which is available on
Hmm.
online. We have pinned the website where the book is available, and you can also get a signed copy of the book. So let me go ahead again and share this. So here is the website name is maharanas.com. Here you will guide us. You will get the Hindi and the Bengal English version of the book, and this book is quite well endorsed by a lot of people. You have Vibhuti Jha, you have Sanjay Dikshit, you have Madhu Purnima Kishwar, all well-known authors. We have Neeraj Attri, who have given great endorsement to the book. Okay, and the book is available in various price ranges. It's available on in Indian money. This book is available also internationally. So if you are living in Australia, you have a US dollar or other currency, still you will be able to get the book. Okay. So we encourage every one of you to buy the book, buy the signed copy, buy the unsigned copy. Also give the book to the people who have not read it. Okay. So it is our endeavor to actually read the real history and also request people to actually go and buy the book and read for yourself. So you can know the proud history, the warriors that we had in the west of India, and how they actually protected Hindu interest and Hindustan from the invasions for centuries, 3 to 4 centuries, or we could have been a much worse state than we are now in many ways. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Bappa Rawal thus sowed the seeds of Hindu resistance to Muslim invasions for his future generation by clearly identifying the alien nature of Islamic invaders vis-a-vis Hinduism and laid down a policy of non-reconciliation with the barbaric values of Islamists as a norm for his progeny to follow. He thus laid the ground for armed resistance against the designs of the Islamic imperialists. I think it the the things Papa did during his period had actually way profound impacts on the, the history of India, because after his victories against the Arabs, the it took them Muslims. It took them, I think, 500, half a millennium to actually reach that to Delhi. They had to fight for 500 years to reach from, I think, Afghanistan to the other side, east of Sindh. So it is very Bappa had very profound impact on our history, if we go by that.
Yes, of course.
Mm. What
Go ahead.
Bappa did was to recognize the vile nature of Arab theological expansionism and forge alliance with fellow Hindu kingdoms to not only conclusively defeat the invaders but also make such arrangements so that Islamic invaders could not defeat Hindu kings for the next 3 centuries. Bappa's reach up to Afghanistan in Iran and forging matrimonial bonds with the locals there meant the continuance of Hinduism in these regions for centuries to come.
Yeah, just
Hmm.
hold on. One more thing, important thing. So this like a strategic alliance by marriage was a very common custom and tradition in the ancient societies. Okay, so we also see a narrative being weaved around that a Mughal kings were actually marrying in other dynasties. Okay, and that was something spinned as a kind of a secular thing to do. Okay, in modern times. Okay, but people forget that marrying into other dynasties as a kind of a strategy or as a kind of truce thing was quite common among the ancient societies across the globe. Okay, so there is nothing secular about it. It's a kind of a tradition which has been there globally. Go ahead.
I don't think there is anything secular in that, because Hindu kings would marry for a strategic alliance or to continue their dynasty, but Mughals would forcefully take whoever they wishes, or whoever they want to make whoever they want to make suffer. So they would take their daughters, wives, and whatnot. So it's nothing like that. Hmm.
Yeah, but correct. We have
The
seen the kind of narrative spinned around that, so we need, yeah. So that needs to be actually understood in the context that even they were
Hmm.
marrying, that marriage was not because they were secular rulers in nature, because that was a tradition,
No,
a kind of a war strategy.
these same kinds of things that Mughals did here, the same thing was happened with Ottomans, with the Europeans. They would force the local European rulers to send their daughters as gifts uh,
Hmm.
to the Ottomans. So it's nothing new; their age-old practice. The impact of Bappa's victorious campaign can be assessed by the fact that despite restless attacks by Arabs and Turks for three next 14 centuries, Hindus are found living even in today's Afghanistan and Pakistan. Though heavily depleted in number, the fire of Hinduism could not be fully extinguished by the Islamic invaders because of the confidence and loyalty that warriors like Bappa uh, established in the hearts and minds of the Hindu populations. Approximately 1 crore Hindus and Sikhs still live in Pakistan. I don't know about this number because they downgrade numbers of their minority number thing, and they would
Mm-hmm.
inflate their own numbers. So I don't know how we can say that. But the single biggest statement of Bappa Rao's reach beyond the western frontiers of Rajasthan is that even today, the capital of Islamic Republic of Pakistan is the twin city of Islamabad and Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi. Despite the decades of hatred between Hindus, Pakistan even now has its main cantonment city named after a Hindu emperor who was loved and cherished by the people of that land. I think he is talking about Rawalpindi, per se, Rawal's land.
Yeah, Bappa Rawal. So
It's,
that is
hmm,
interesting. Correct. We did not know about it. Okay. Yeah.
huh,
HV Didi, do you know about this? Because like I have not read about the western part of the history.
hmm.
So Didi can actually give us some more enlightenment on this. The name of the Rawalpindi city is named after Bappa Rawal. Yeah, go ahead.
Hmm. Considering the meticulous execution of his victorious campaign against Arab, it wouldn't be exaggeration to state that Bappa Rawal is the only reason that Vedic civilization still pulsates in the Indian subcontinent. Um, I would say till Shivaji came, he was the reason.
Mm,
After that,
correct,
there are
correct.
many others too. Hmm. But we can say that he was the starting figure.
Yes,
So,
very important.
ac- hmm. according to Todd, he's talking about James Todd, the writer
Mm,
who
mm,
wrote
mm, mm,
about
mm,
the whole lineage of Maharanas.
mm,
Bappa defeated dozens of small Muslim kingdoms west of Sindhu River and married the daughters of their kings. As many as 130 sons were born to him from these women, and after the return of Bappa to Mewar, these sons were identified according to the clans of their mother. Today, these people are referred to as Nashera Pathans. I think they are.
mm.
I think काफी famous है ना दादा ये तो
Mm-hmm.
Nashera Pathans I think. Hmm.
Yes, but I do not not read enough of this the history, so I don't know. But I'm learning from the
Uh,
book itself.
I think Didi would know, but she's not here. I think.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think we
Hmm.
need to do a one stream
It
with Didi on this.
hmm. It would be prudent here to glance at other Hindu kings and kingdoms who resisted Arab invasions, like into Bharat worship briefly. Dr. Ram Gopal Mishra has authored the book Indian Resistance to Early Muslim Invaders up to 1206 CE, where he has meticulously researched and documented Hindu resistance in a relatively obscure period of Indian history. Although we shall restrict ourselves to the lives and works of Mewar's Maharanas, it is important that names of kings and people who resisted the initial Islamic invasions be mentioned here. Gujara, Gurjara Pratyahara King Nagabhatta I, the founder of the dynasty, ruled Avanti, Malwa, around 725. An inscription in Gwalior tells us that he defeated the army of a powerful Islamic invader who invaded his dominions. Gurjara Pratyahara were known by Arab historians as kings of Zars. Gurjara referring to one such king. The Arab wrote, "Among the princes of India, there is no greater of Mohammedan faith than he." Another king worthy of mention here, a contemporary of Bappa, was Lalitaditya Muktapida, 724 to 760. He allied with Yashovarma of central India. Lalitaditya was merciless in his slaughter of Arab and ordered that half of the
Uh,
Islamist for it. Hmm,
Shekhar, just one
hmm,
query,
hmm,
kind of query. See, so you say Yashovarman. So we know that Cambodian kings of Cambodia, oh, correct,
hmm.
were actually, I think, what was his name? Forgot the name. I think they were also Varman. So is there a link between
Yeah,
the?
I think we can't really say much about that, but the Southeast Asian would marry Indian prince and princesses relatively frequently. You would find in the south and Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, in that
Yeah,
region,
I
and
I got the
even
name.
Ayodhya and
I
those
I
regions.
got the names. I
They
got the
would
names.
adopt, I
So
think.
yeah, I got the names. So the Cambodian
Hmm.
kings, the names were Jayavarman II, Jayavarman III, Indravarman I, Yashovarman
Hmm.
1880. I'll share the page. Hold on.
Hmm.
So that's what I thought. Okay, because I read about the Southeast Asian history a little bit. So if you can
Hmm.
see here, so they are a same name. You can
Hmm.
see here Yashovarman. Okay. And
Yes.
in Maharanas also we have the name Yashovarman.
So no.
Correct?
Yeah, yeah. I think somewhere from central India. I think somewhere he was ruling.
I think
Yeah.
I think
So
you're talking about Yashovarman of Chandela Rajput. They are the ones. Chandel Rajputs.
yeah,
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are.
The UP one, na?
yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
UP, Khajuraho, this side. They were the ones who created those
Hmm.
temples. Khajuraho
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
those temples.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
Rishi,
That one.
so how the Cambodian kings of Cambodia, 1,000 miles away, had the same name. Uh, that's as a
It is
curiosity
pretty
I have.
common. No, no, no. It's pretty common because
I
the
think
Brahmins would be going from here to there, and
uh,
Indian princes
I think
and princesses would also go there to marry. So they would keep their name as Sanskrit, and I think they would copy some famous Indian kings or princes and their name, like we do. No, we would
Hmm.
copy the celebrities' name. During those times, the
Hmm.
kings would be celebrities, so they would copy them
I
if they are
mean
famous enough.
these kinds of names were very common at that time, especially
Hmm.
at that time. We know
Yes,
of
yes.
from the late Gupta period names like Yashodharman of Malwa, who defeated the Huns, the white
Hmm.
Huns of Central Asia, and so on and so forth. From those times
Hmm.
onwards, we have Rajyavardhan, Harshavardhan. These are the Vardhanas of not Takshashila, sorry, Panipat, those areas. And after that, we have the Varmanas. In my state, Assam, we had Bhaskara Varman. So such sort of names were, I think, becoming very common, and eventually it also reached over there in Cambodia as well, as Shekhar said.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was pretty common because they were practicing Sanskrit only, Sanskritized version of their language. So
Hmm. Hmm.
names
Hmm.
would be
Hmm.
very common.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Uh, Lalitaditya was merciless in his slaughter of Arabs and ordered that half of the Arabs' foreheads would be shaved off as a mark of their submission. The Jats in Sindh also handed a crushing defeat to the later Arab invasions, and so did the Pratihara kings in Multan. Thus, we see that Arab imperialist thugs who took less than 10 years to completely devour Persia, Mesopotamia, and Egypt were not only halted by Bappa Rawal and his confederacy but chased back to the lands of their origin. The pan India resistance to the Arab onslaught resulted in the conclusive defeat of the Arab imperialist past worded by a Arab historian Al Badruni himself. The people of India returned to idolatry with the exception of the inhabitants of Kasbah. I don't know about this place because I searched, but I didn't find any the particular place. I think they changed the name or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
The place of refuge to which the Muslims might flee was not to be found. So he, Arab governor, built on the further side of the lake where it borders on Al Hind city, which he named Al Mufaz, Mufaz, the protected, establishing it as a place for refuge of them, where they should be secure and they, making it a capital. The Arab invasions of Sindh have been described thus by Wolseley Haig, a mere period in the history of India which affected only fringe of that vast country. The tide of Islam having overflowed overflowed Sindh and the lower Punjab, ebbed, leaving some jetsam on the strand. I think this perfectly answers the AIM's the question that
Hmm, hmm,
if Hindus were united, why was the Raja Chola not helping Sindh,
hmm,
and why was he attacking Indonesia? Because
hmm.
the help was already there. No, what would he gain from going there? I think
Correct, correct. And one more
ridiculous
thing which is
argument.
important, one more thing is important to actually understand. Correct. So if we go a little bit up, we will see that it mentions. Okay, somebody else has joined. Okay, Rishi, yes. Yeah. So when we see here, so when we see, correct, the pan-India resistance to Arab onslaught resulted in the conclusive defeat of Arab imperialists, best worded by an Arab historian, Al 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 Baladuri himself. So
Balduri.
yeah, so what we see here is, so correct. There is a very common concept that we were defeated because we were disunited.
So this thing happens because we are taught in a very fragmented history. We are not
Hmm,
taught the whole scenario. Like we are we are talking about Maharana Pratap, but we are not talking about what just I think some years back happened to Vijayanagar Empire. Just some years back, before he was born, I think I may be wrong, but somewhere around his fight with Akbar, the Vijayanagar was defeated by the Bahamanis. They ganged
correct.
up on him, Vijayanagar.
Hmm,
So we are not, and same happened with the Gajapatis. The Jaunpur and Bengal Sultanate ganged up on him, the Gajapati.
hmm.
There was other reasons also, but we are like uh, the, we are talking about Mewad, then we are talking about Vijayanagar, then we are talking about Gajapati. It's like we are living in holes. We are studying history by a myopic view. We are talking only about a single dynasty, then this dynasty, then this dynasty. We are not even talking about the context which they all three or all the dynasties existed. Like the Cholas, they were. If we are talking about Cholas, we would forget whatever was happening in the north. So,
Correct, correct,
uh,
correct.
the history is
And
very flawed in India.
I think in one of the talks, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, the economic advisor to government of India, had mentioned in one of his talks that there are
Hmm.
gaps in the history which is not taught to us. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are not taught a linear history, but we are taught a specific chapters, a period in history where we were weak, and only those are mentioned in our history books to create a sense of
Yeah.
perception among the people who read history in textbooks, in colleges, that this is the only history.
Hmm.
Those gaps are just ignored because they had a certain kind of ideology to push. So that's why books
Yes.
like these needs to be read by everybody, and these books should be taught and given to children who are in colleges, so they understand what the gap is there when they are learning history in their colleges and schools.
Yeah, we are basically our history is taught by jumping. We would jump.
Hmm.
We would be taught by. We would start by 700, 8th century. then we would jump 500 years, and then we would
Hmm.
be next to another invasion. What were we doing between those years? Sleeping. We were sleeping so that
Hmm.
another one would become, and we would be defeated, and we will sleep 400 years further, and then Mughals come, and we would sleep again till Shivaji came.
Hmm.
And what is this going on here? Idiotic, is a ridiculous history.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Go
cool.
ahead.
It took brave and visionary leaders like uh, Mara Bappa Rawal and his Hindu alliance to defeat the barbarians and keep the light of Dharma burning in India. No Hindu king has influenced the course of Islamic invasions as profoundly as Bappa. If Bappa Rawal could do it 1400 years ago, what stops us from fighting for the sake of Dharma when we were so well equipped today? That is the question to which every Hindu must find an answer to. Bappa Rawal, after ruling
Just
Mewar
just
for
hold on.
uh,
Just hold on.
hmm,
So we will read the book for another 15 minutes. Okay. Then we will pose.
hmm,
I'll pose this question to the audience. Okay.
hmm.
And if people want to come and join the stream, they can join and share their points of view. So we want to know a common man's point of view. Okay. So I'll post
Only
the
two
link
pages
in
left,
about 10
Dada.
to 15 minutes.
We can do
Okay. We'll go ahead. Go ahead.
thing
Go ahead. Go
after
ahead.
this.
Go ahead. Then we'll finish this.
Hmm. Bappa Rawal, after ruling Mewar from Chittor for 27 years, heeded to his spiritual call and went off to the jungles around the Iklinji temple, 30 kilometers north of modern day Udaipur, and lived the life of an ascetic till his death at the age of 100 years. So, yeah, the asceticism was still going on, even after everything.
Hmm.
The C.V. Vaidya, in his book Medieval Hindu India's compares Bappa's life with that of Charles Martel. They are not talks. They're not talked about like they're not spelled like Charles Martin. It's like Charlemagne of France.
Hmm. Hmm.
That just like Bappa, Charlemagne rose from being a nobody to seize power in Paris. Just like Bappa defeated the Arabs, Charlemagne too defeated Abdul Rahman al what, Ghafiqi of the Umayyad dynasty. Martel's son Pepin continued the dynasty for a few generations. Bappa, on the other hand, started the Sisodiya dynasty, which has gone on uninterrupted for the past 1400 years, and the sons of glorious Bappa Rawal still adorn the royal seat of Udaipur. Bappa Rawal was succeeded by various rulers of Mewar for the next 500 years, among whom Shakti Kumar, Kuman I, Kuman I, Kuman II, Kuman III continued the expansion of the kingdom of Mewar. Kuman II and his victories in warding off another onslaught by the Islamists on Mewar will be covered in the subsequent chapters. Bappa attained moksha as an anonymous sadhuk, sadhak, a spiritual seeker at Kailash Puri near Eklingi temple in Mewar. Even today, there is a Shiva temple and Bappa's life-size statue, as his samadhi is believed to be here.
Hold on, hold on, just
Tragically, the
hold on.
name.
Yeah, hold on. I have this samadhi picture with me here. So just let me show it to the people.
Hmm,
So let me just show. So this is the statue that is he's talking about.
hmm,
The
hmm,
here is the yeah. Go ahead.
hmm, hmm. Bappa's life-size statue as his samadhi is believed to be here. Tragically, the name of this greatest Hindu king of the 8th century has been erased from our historical consciousness. It is a matter of profound sadness and mystery that not only Bappa Rawal's name, but the entire failure of Arab Islam to penetrate into Indian subcontinent has been wiped away by the leftist historians of our unfortunate nation. Erasure of an event as crucial as this from our consciousness also demonstrate the mediocrity of Hindu thinkers and leadership. Islamists and leftists did what they had to. But what were we doing? The intellectual sloth of Hindu intelligentsia is appalling to say the least. What paralyzed the Hindu society and leadership into such indifference to such virulent assault on the history of Hindu Dharma? What paralyzed our thought processes that the very greats who saved our Dharma and land was pushed into oblivion? All that was infected by the religious intolerance of the Arabic invaders was destroyed. The pathetic conditions of those societies convey a single message to us Hindus. If Arab hadn't been defeated by Bappa giants like him, we would neither have Hindu Dharma or nor a nation today. For 500 uninterrupted years, Arab Islam was not allowed to cross the Indus River by our glorious ancestors. Thus, this not only saved the Hindus but also the entire free world and the global consciousness from subjugation and slavery. Now, it is solely upon us to revive the name, life, and deeds of this great Hindu son who laid foundation for a thousand-year long struggle against Islamic imperialism. Hmm.
The chapter ends here. Yeah, the chapter ends here.
Yes, yes. The next
So
chapter.
so so
Hmm.
next chapter we will read on next session, next week. Okay, we'll continue reading this
Hmm.
book. And in the meantime, I am going to open this stream to the audience. So if people want to come and join and share their thoughts, please go ahead and join us. So the question that we have asked to people is that, let me, yeah, the question. So that what ails the Hindu society that we could not actually write our own history put together. Yeah. So
I would
Rishi, do you have anything to say? Anything, something?
specifically on what, on which topic?
Yeah. So the topic that we actually covered was correct. That what what ails our Hindu society that we could not actually write our own history in proper way. Okay. That the whole this history was actually omitted from our history books itself, and the role of intelligentsia and other people who could not actually fight and do their justice to that.
I think we did not actually learn the whole trade called historiography. So the whole idea of historiography is to, at the end of the day, build a narrative. So narrative
Hmm.
making is one of the things essential within this trade itself. But in doing that, we need a lot of training, and I think we Hindus, after I think 1950s onwards, we have lacked that a lot. So we don't get to hear many historians from our side, right? Like the great ones which were there after R.C. Majumdar, done. None of them. We get none. We then get from those generations only someone like Sitaram Goelji and others. But how many do we have actually in our hands? Not many. Very few were there after that left, especially in dealing with how to write good history, so-called historiography. Uh, we didn't have so many scholars. I think it's my belief. All that there were only the leftist historiographers, and we know what they did, and we get the results of them.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. But what do you think? Why the Hindu intelligentsia lacks the kind of proficiency, the kind of intellect to actually write our own history? Why it was left to the leftists to write the narrative? Like it's something
I think
very
you
unusual.
you you may see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you may see this problem after 47 onwards. So even in the case of Sir Jadunath Sarkar. So Sir Jadunath Sarkar went into doing this work of historiography after he was encouraged to take a scholarship. I'm forgetting the name right now of some Jamindar Raja, a very proud, especially of his Hindu religion. He used to launch such scholarship schemes, especially for young students to go into historiography, especially on the issue of like Hindu history and so on and so forth. So there was such a condition where there were such uh, donors who were giving scholarships and so on, inducing Hindus generally to go to this subject and train themselves and later on become great historians, which we know, which is why we still now we get to read so-called Hindu historians only before 1947, right? Radha Kumud Mukherjee, Jadunath Sarkar, R.C. Majumdar, these were from that crop, and especially they were funded by those scholarships. But after 47, we don't get to see such scholarships later on at all. And the only inducement which Hindus had was to go for a government job and so on and so forth. And there was an active uh, campaign, I think, within Hindu society itself that it is not worth going into arts and so on and so arts, and it's far better to get into science and all those subjects. And since there is no like what should I say? There is no like encouragement towards Hindus to go and learn historiography. I think we lag behind in that era, and now we get to see the results. Which is why institutions of Vikram Sampatji, what he is doing right now, is such a crucial thing, which will, I think, really help us back again in developing those historiography skills, especially.
Yeah, actually, on that part, it's very important that you mentioned the institution created by Vikram Sampath. So let me share that website. So it's important that we support these institutions. I'm just going to share this, and also let me just, it's opening up. So people whoever are watching this, okay, so this is uh, FIH FIHCR. Okay, so this is an institution, FIHCR, founded by Vikram Sampath, a well-known historian who wrote very important books on the Indian history, on the Hindu history. So, and here are the people who are, so Abbas Maldihar, the famous author who wrote Babur's biography. Rohan Pasricha, the Chief Staff Communications Head, and Chief Mentor is Devesh Verma. So there are a lot of good authors, researchers who are working on this institution to rewrite or write the proper history of Bharat and Hindus, Hindu kingdoms. So if you go to this website, I'll put the link here. And actually, if you can contribute financially and otherwise to their endeavors, because we need these institutions to actually write the right kind of history that we need. Okay.
Also, Rava, have you noticed this thing that the so-called left historians that we got to see, maybe you and Shekhar can comment on it. I will just stop by saying only this that these so-called leftist historians that we later had the so-called privilege to read, someone like Satish Chandra and so on and so forth. They were from very rich backgrounds, right? They were not from so-called working class people. They were very
Mm-hmm.
much from the bourgeois class section of
Mm-hmm.
society, from rich family backgrounds and so on and so forth, who had the, I guess, free time or even money to even sustain such a career of being a historian and so on. And so on. So maybe you both can comment on this.
Yes, so that is a reality that we have to maintain. But somewhere down the line, as also Didi mentions in her stream, the Hindu Vichadara Didi mentions that having your own community. So what I call is the social capital, the political capital, and the financial capital is built upon the community capital. Okay. If you are a coherent community, okay, and if you maintain your traditions, if you create a kind of trust among each other. So you can say the Gujarati community, the Patel community, the Agarwal community. Okay, so lots of trade guilds. Okay, the ancient trade guilds which dates back to hundreds of years. Okay, so a Patel owner of a motel in America. Okay, and the same Patel clan would be owning a motel in Africa. Okay, in Senegal, in one more region, and they all are connected via the community bond, which is built over hundreds of years, over trade networks. Marriages happen. Okay, they help each other. They help financially, economically as a community. Okay, and that community capital creates the kind of political and financial capital which actually creates those bourgeois class who can actually have the time to actually do research and write books. So this lack of community is something which is very important to build. On top of this, you will be able to build the social, social capital and political capital. So that is something which is difficult to do with Hindus because we are so diverse in terms of ethnically, linguistically, culturally. We worship different paddhatis. It's different, but that is something which needs to be done. So in a nation state concept, we live in a nation state concept. In nation state concept, those small differences has to be set aside to create a holistic centralized state where we will be able to actually finance those. So that is important to building the community bond. That community bond is being broken for so many centuries, and it will create a kind of issue that we see today.
Also, the poor people don't have the luxury to write or even read history, right? So we were
Yeah,
poor.
yeah. So
Now that we are becoming, as Abhay is saying,
On the
we are
history
getting
take,
into the field.
हिस्ट्री टेक आया मेरा दूसरा मानना है कि हुआ क्या था, हम लोग 1000 साल से ये गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ लड़ रहे थे ना,
mm-hmm,
क्योंकि
mm-hmm,
गवर्नमेंट हमारी नहीं थी, तब किंगडम्स हमारे नहीं थे ना, तो गवर्नमेंट हमारी नहीं थी,
mm-hmm,
तो हम उसके खिलाफ लड़ रहे थे। तो हुआ क्या कि जब हमारे अब हमारे ने इल्यूजन आया ना कि ये हमारी गवर्नमेंट है, तो हमने क्या किया, सब कुछ छोड़ दिया कि अब वो ही देख लेंगे, ज्यादातर हमें नहीं करना है कुछ, ठीक है ना। तो हम क्या एकदम लेजी बन गए और देखा नहीं कि वो गवर्नमेंट हमारी थी ही नहीं कभी। और
mm,
ये तो मतलब अब क्या ही बोले इसके ऊपर, तो पर ये मेरा तो यही मेन मानना है। दूसरा मार्क्सिस्ट पे और उस पे कि ये अपर कास्ट, ये मैंने जहां तक देखा है, मार्क्सिस्ट का क्या एक ही फंडा है, एंटी कंपटीशन। जो ऊपर है ना, उनको ऊपर ही रहने देने का उनका एक तरीका है ये, कि आप बुर्जवाजी बोल दो किनको, अ, जो ज्यादा पैसे वाले हैं, और बोल कौन रहा है, जिसके पास खुद के पास पहले से ज्यादा पैसा है। मतलब गरीब आदमी नहीं बोल रहे हैं कि ये बुरा है, अमीर बुरा है, अमीर ही बोल रहा है अमीर बुरा है, क्योंकि वो compete कर रहा है ना उससे, इसलिए।
mm,
तो गरीब आदमी
mm-hmm.
तो कभी ऊपर पहुंच नहीं सकता है, तो इनसे तो मतलब क्या ही उम्मीद कर सकते हैं फिर।
Yeah, that I can understand what's going on here. Yeah, but I think slowly we are building our own community capital. So we are seeing institutions like created by Vikram Sampath and who are doing a good job. Okay. So I would not say that all is lost. Okay. Slowly we are also building our own institutions, and it takes time. And institution building will take a generation or two to actually build an institution, build the credibility, have the right things come about. So we will see some good things happening in future. So it's not all lost. Yeah, so we'll take a few questions. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, do share it in the chat. So we'll try to address them, or at least we'll try to answer them in our future streams or, together. Okay. And or else we will end the stream for today. But it's going to be very interesting reading. So it's going to be a real revelations, what we will learn the lost history of the Maharanas that Dr. Omiratnu wrote. Yeah. If anybody wants to join, do join us. We will be there for another 5 minutes. Till then, we have Rishi and Shekhar with us. So, Shekhar, any concluding thoughts on today's stream? Like, have you learned something new, learned a new perspective by reading the chapter itself?
I think the only thing I learned is that the history should be studied. Okay, we are what happened to our psyche is that we have uh, stopped studying the history or its consequences. What happens when we don't study the history? The major point from this is th- uh, that we as a civilization had forgotten that we know history writing, because if we go by the material we are very good at writing history, the stories, and we write in story structure, but it is very detailed. So we knew how to write, but we have forgotten the value of history. And the second thing is that we have to remember our ancestors for what they have done for us. Because what happens when you don't remember your ancestors is you have been cut off from your roots. You don't know what happened, so you don't know what will happen. So that is a major point.
Yeah, I will take the last comment from Didi. Very interesting comment. Didi mentions that I have seen that even the Indian left side lacks quality historians. They aren't even creating writers and researchers, let alone competent speakers. Books only come from the West. Yeah, Didi. But the thing is that the kind of capture of institutions which took place even pre-British era, and the British actually helped that to happen. But the capture of institutions which took place post-independence 47, and it was accelerated by Indira Gandhi, okay, where the real work took place. Okay, so and that institutional capture mechanism, I think we lack in so many ways. So, what do you think about how do we go about creating our own institutions or going ahead and occupying positions of power in those existing institutions, and how to do this? Yeah, we have Abhay here. Abhay, please go ahead if you have say something.
सो नमस्कार दादा। तो मैं पूरा स्ट्रीम तो नहीं देख पाया, पर जो जनरल कमेंट है मैं इस विषय पर कि क्या करना चाहिए। पहली बात तो हमारे हिस्ट्री को एक ऐसे लिखना चाहिए कि वो एक लीनियर स्ट्रक्चर इन फॉर्म ऑफ अ स्टोरी और अ नैरेटिव हो, कि इसके बाद ये हुआ, ये राजा आए, फिर आक्रमण हुआ और हमारे राजाओं ने उसका विरोध कैसे किया। ऐसे छिन भिन करके इतिहास लिख दिया है ना कि आप अपने आप को जोड़ ही नहीं पाते, आपको कोई कहानी ही नहीं है अपने आप को जोड़ने के लिए। तो आपके लिए इतिहास पढ़ना एक उबाऊ काम भी हो जाता है, बहुत बोरिंग हो जाता है। तो बच्चे लोग इतिहास के सब्जेक्ट से बहुत दूर भी भागते हैं क्योंकि बोरिंग है। तो पहली बात तो थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग वे में थोड़ा लिखना पड़ेगा, स्पेशली जो बच्चे हैं उनके लिए। आप दूसरी बात है, जैसा मैंने कमेंट्स में भी लिखा, आप अब देखिए जो ये इतिहासकार मार्क्सिस्ट वगैरह थे, एक तो ये लोग बहुत धनी परिवार से थे और ये लोग अधिकांश लोग ऐसे लोगों के वंशज हैं जो लोग अंग्रेजों या तो जो लोग ब्यूरोक्रेट्स थे या जो लोग अंग्रेजों के शासन में या प्रशासन में काम करते थे। और ऐसे लोगों को ही हमारे सरकार द्वारा भी प्रश्रय मिला। और एक बहुत ही अच्छी बात कही शायद शेखर ने कही कि हमने 1947 में लगा हिंदू समाज को कि आज चलो हमारी सत्ता आ गई है, अब हमें कुछ नहीं करना है, सरकार कर लेगी। और हमने सोचा कि जो करेगी सरकार सब अच्छा है, तो हमने सोचा कि जाने दो, सब ठीक ही चल रहा है। ये 2014 के बाद भी कुछ कुछ हुआ है। हिंदू समाज के साथ कि चलो अब हमारी सत्ता आ गई है, सरकार देख लेगी। और फिर हम देखते हैं भाई सरकार क्या ही देखेगी, सरकार खुद फंसी हुई। तो थोड़ा सा क्या बोलते हैं, कंधा पकड़ के या भुजा पकड़ के थोड़ा हिलाना पड़ेगा कि जागो जागो प्यारे, क्या कर रहे हो तुम, देखो क्या चल रहा है। तो मुझे तो यही लगता है अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा हिंदू समाज जागा है, क्योंकि हिंदू समाज के पास अभी पैसा है। तो क्योंकि पैसा है तो कुछ लोग उसका प्रयोग करके, उसका उपयोग करके कुछ करने की चेष्टा कर रहे हैं। तो ये एक अच्छी बात है। अब देखते हैं आगे क्या होता है, पर मैं फिर भी बोलूंगा कि हमें सत्ता की स्वीकार्यता चाहिए। सत्ता यदि साथ नहीं देगा तो आप बहुत आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते। तो सत्ता पर दबाव बनाने के लिए हिंदू समाज को अब तैयारी करना आरंभ कर देना चाहिए। शास्त्र लिखो, पुस्तक लिखो, संगठन बनाओ, प्रेशर ग्रुप्स बनाओ, लॉबी ग्रुप्स बनाओ, सब पूरा तैयारी करके रखो कि हमको सत्ता पे दबाव डालना है, कुछ भी करके।
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So, anything else from Rishi and Sekhar before we say adieu to our audiences?
Uh,
थिंक
so
मैं
today
इनके
we
पॉइंट
got to learn.
अभय के पॉइंट पे एक ऐड करूंगा। इन्होंने बोला ना कि स्टोरी टाइप हमारा नहीं लिखा हुआ है, हिस्ट्री जंप किया हुआ है। अगर आप देखो तो अगर आप इंडियन हिस्ट्री पढ़ने बैठो और आप यूरोपियन हिस्ट्री पढ़ो ना, तो आपको यूरोपियन हिस्ट्री पढ़ने में मजा आएगा, क्योंकि उन्होंने एक बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से स्टोरी वाइज लिखा हुआ है कि कहाँ क्या हुआ है, ये यहाँ हो रहा था, इसके साथ में दूसरी जगह क्या हो रहा था, तीसरी जगह क्या हो रहा था, इसके क्या कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज हुए हैं, वो सब तो उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से लिखा है। और हमने क्या, हमने तो नहीं किया है, पर मतलब जिसने भी किया है उसने जानबूझ के इसको डिस्टॉर्ट कर, एक ये भी एक तरीका है हिस्ट्री को ना पढ़वाने का, कि आप उसको उसको इतना बोरिंग बना दो कि कोई पढ़ना ही ना चाहे। हमारे यहाँ पे क्या हुआ कि इतना ज्यादा बोरिंग बना दो कि कोई पढ़े ही ना उसको, क्योंकि पढ़ेगा तो उसको इनकंसिस्टेंस दिखेगी ना, उसको पढ़ने से मजबूर कर दो कि वो ना पढ़ पाए। तो वो भी एक तरीका है।
पर शेखर,
Mm,
आप ये भी देखिए, कुछ कुछ हमारे इतिहास के खंड परंतु कहानी जैसे लिखे गए। जैसे मुझे अभी भी याद है, दिल्ली सल्तनत को पूरा एकदम एक के बाद एक लिखा गया कि पहले मामलुक आए, फिर तुगलक आए, फिर खिलजी आए, फिर लोदी आए और फिर मुगल आए। हो सकता है मुझसे एक दो वंश छूट भी गए हो। उसको पूरा कहानी में लिखा है कि इस राजा के बाद ये हुए, फिर वो हुए। पर जो हमारे हिंदू राजा थे, उनको बहुत तितर बितर करके छितरा के लिखा गया कि हाँ यहाँ पर एक कोई
ये
राजा
नहीं,
था, इसने कुछ बांध वांध बना दिया होगा, कुछ टब बना दिया होगा, रिजर्वायर बना दिया होगा, और क्या ही है, छोड़ो। बहुत
तो वो तरीका
चालाकी
है
से
ना,
एक कार्य किया गया।
तरीका है कि आप उसको
और
अच्छे से नहीं, दिल्ली सल्तनत की भी हिस्ट्री इन्होंने अच्छे से नहीं लिखी है, क्योंकि अगर कोई नॉर्मल इंसान उसको पढ़ने जाएगा ना, उसको समझ नहीं आएगा कि हो क्या रहा है, क्योंकि वो भी अचानक से बीच में से चालू हो रही है ना, वो देखो ना, वो भी जंप हिस्ट्री है कि वो 1200 के आसपास चालू हो रही है,
हाँ,
उसके पहले क्या हो रहा था। ठीक है ना, तो वो भी इन्होंने ढंग से नहीं
वही
लिखा है।
आप
तो वो
देखिए,
जानबूझ के किया है कि कुछ भी ढंग
प्राचीन
से मत
काल,
लिखो तो कुछ भी पढ़ ना सको, ऐसा।
प्राचीन काल थोड़ा गुप्त तक पढ़ाते हैं कि गुप्त आए थे, उसके बाद सीधा 12वीं शताब्दी। बीच
अरे
में क्या
गुप्ता के बारे में
हुआ,
कुछ नहीं
बप्पा
पढ़ाते,
रावल ने क्या किया, सिंध
नहीं
के बारे
गुप्ताओं के
में
बारे में
कुछ
कुछ नहीं
नहीं।
पढ़ाते, गुप्ता
मेंशन
के बारे में
करते हैं
कुछ
कि
नहीं
गुप्त
पढ़ाते।
आए थे, मेंशन करते हैं कि गुप्त आए थे,
नहीं, बस
ये
गोल्डन एज
सील
वाला
मील है।
मेंशन होता है, बस बस
बस
गोल्डन एज
वही
का
मैं बोल
मेंशन
रहा
होता है,
हूँ, मेंशन करते हैं।
बस और कुछ नहीं।
उसके बाद बीच में उसके बाद बीच में भांजी मर जाती। फिर
हम्म।
फिर सीधा
नहीं
आते हैं ये
गुप्त आए,
कुतुबुद्दीन
गुप्त
ऐबक।
चले
और
गए बस। हाँ, नहीं गुप्त आए,
हाँ,
गुप्त चले
उसके
गए
बाद
और फिर अभी ये आ
कुतुबुद्दीन।
गए, बस।
हाँ वही
हाँ, नहीं,
मैं बोला ना, बीच में भांजी
हाँ,
मार देते हैं, वही बात।
हाँ, अरे नहीं, मतलब मैंने जब पढ़ रहा था ये, जबरदस्ती पढ़ना पड़ता था ना, तो मैं बहुत कंफ्यूजन में रहता था। मैं बोला ये तुम 500 500 600 साल गायब कैसे कर रहे हो, कहाँ गए वो लोग। मतलब ठीक है कि तुम बता रहे हो कि हम हार गए, पर ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है कि सब हम हार ही रहे हैं, पर गायब ही कर रहे हो तुम तो हिस्ट्री। मतलब मौर्य बताते हैं, ठीक है, ये कहाँ से चालू करते हैं, मौर्य ये 11th 12th में बताते हैं, नहीं, कॉलेज में बताते हैं मौर्य और ये गुप्ता और मौर्य का स्कूल टेक्स्ट बुक में खाली नेम है 10th तक, क्योंकि ज्यादातर तो 10th तक ही पढ़ते हैं हिस्ट्री, तो उनका खाली नेम है, गोल्डन एज है, और ये मौर्य था जिसने अलेक्जेंडर को हराया और उस टाइम के था, बस इतना। ठीक है, उसके बाद में आई थिंक 600 या 500 500 नहीं 300 से 400 साल गायब कर देते वो लोग पूरा। सातवाना पीरियड और वो जो बीच में पीरियड्स आए थे ना, आई थिंक मौर्यस के बाद में, वो सब गायब। उसके बाद में सीधा गुप्ता, गोल्डन एज, और फिर सीधा कासिम पे पहुंच जाते हैं 200 साल फिर से। फिर उसके बाद में 600 साल फिर गायब। तो ऐसे गायब कर करके मतलब बता रहे कि हिंदुओं को वो करना क्यों पड़ रहा है, कि हिंदुओं में बोले खाली एक गुप्ता, मौर्य, और उसके बाद में सारे इस्लामिक किंग्स है। तो क्या बोल रहे हैं कि आपकी हिस्ट्री नहीं है, ठीक है ना? तो साबित करने की कोशिश
पर
कर
वो
रहे हैं कि आप कोई नहीं कोई लाए।
कासिम कासिम के बारे में भी मुझे ये अपने स्कूल से तो पता नहीं चला था। मैंने तो सुना भी नहीं था नाम कासिम का। मुझे तो बाद में पता चला कि सिंध में कासिम आया था। कासिम के बारे में मुझे
नहीं,
बहुत
ये
बाद में पता
हमारे
चला।
टाइम के बुक में था। नहीं, वो खाली मेंशन है उसका भी आते हुए, क्योंकि उसमें कुछ ज्यादा उखाड़ा नहीं ना उसने, खाली किंग दायर को हराया, खाली राजा दायर को, और फिर वो कुछ उखाड़ नहीं पाया उसके बाद में वो, इसलिए उसका
हो
खाली मेंशन
सकता
होगा चलते हुए,
आपके
कोई पेज में एक लाइन पे मेंशन होगा बस।
तो अरे दीदी शोले से सीखा है, कुछ तो सीखेंगे ना। बॉलीवुड का कुछ प्रभाव पड़ेगा। तो अम, तो वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि विचित्र ढंग से इतिहास लिखा है। उसके बाद आप मिडिवल एजेस देखो, पूरा दिल्ली केंद्रित इतिहास है। पूरा जो भी इस्लामिक जो भी रूलर थे उसको केंद्र बना करके इतिहास लिखा गया। इसीलिए बाद में ये बोलते हैं कि अरे भारत तो 1947 से पहले था ही नहीं। कौन थे तुम लोग? तुम्हारी क्या पहचान थी? कोई पहचान नहीं थी तुम्हारी। मुगल ने
ऐसे
भारत
देखो
बनाया,
आप
अंग्रेजों ने बनाया।
तो नहीं, उसमें संजीव सान्याल बहुत अच्छी मेंशन बात करते हैं कि होता क्या है कि जब मिडिवल एज चालू होती है ना, तो जो नॉर्थ में पावर होती है ना गुप्ताज के बाद में, वो श्रिंक ही होती है। ठीक है, क्योंकि पावर स्ट्रक्चर जो होता है ना वो साउथ में शिफ्ट हो जाता है, क्योंकि जो ट्रेड जो होती है ना वेस्ट से कट ऑफ हो जाती है, क्योंकि ये अरब्स आ जाते हैं तो रोमन, नहीं, हाँ, रोमन्स जो होते हैं ना गुप्ता एरा के बाद में, वो क्या बोलते हैं, डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाते हैं, पूरे के पूरे रोमन खत्म हो जाते हैं उस टाइम। आई थिंक 3rd या 4th सेंचुरी में खत्म हो जाते हैं वो रोमन्स लगभग लगभग। तो उसके बाद में पूरा जो ट्रेड होता है ना वो पूरा डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है। ठीक है, ये बिज़ंटीन्स आते हैं पर वो उसके पास में इतना पावर नहीं होता, ना ही उसके पास मनी होता है कि वो और रिचार्ज होता है कि ये खरीदने देता नहीं है चीजों को। ठीक है ना, वो पता नहीं उनका क्या ही अलग पागलपन था। ट्रेड जो होते हैं ना वो वेस्ट में पूरी डिस्टर्ब हो गई। तो जो जो ट्रेड होती थी ना पहले, वो शॉर्टेस्ट रूट जो था ना, वो क्या होता था कि यहाँ से आप जाओ नॉर्थ से, राजस्थान के पास से गुजरात जाओ, और गुजरात से टेक ऑफ कर लो वेस्ट के लिए। पर ट्रेड जो होती है ना पूरी ईस्ट में शिफ्ट हो गई। तो जो पावर जो है ना स्ट्रक्चर, वो नॉर्थ से साउथ में शिफ्ट हो गया। तो मिडिवल एरा जो पूरा है ना वो साउथ में होना चाहिए सेंटर, क्योंकि नॉर्थ में कुछ हो नहीं रहा था, ज्यादा हो रहा था पर मतलब इतना नहीं हो रहा था जितना साउथ में हो रहा था। तो वो लोग दिल्ली को जानबूझ के सेंटर
हाँ
बनाते
तो
हैं, क्योंकि दिल्ली का काम खत्म हो गया था, ऑब्सोलीट था दिल्ली, अगर आप ऐसे देखो तो उस टाइम।
वही वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना। साउथ के बारे में क्या पढ़ाया? विजयनगर के बारे में कितना ही पढ़ा हमने। चोल के बारे में कितना पढ़ा? पल्लव, चेरा, कुछ तो नहीं पढ़ा।
नहीं नहीं,
और
चोला का एक मेंशन है, विजयनगर का तो मेंशन भी नहीं है।
मेंशन मेंशन
मेंशन ही नहीं है हिस्ट्री
मेंशन
में।
अलग बात है और अच्छे से मेंशन करना एक अलग बात है, और ढंग से पढ़ाना, जैसे मुगलों को घुस घुस के पढ़ाया कि उनकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कैसी थी और क्या था, फलाना ढिपका, किसको मनसबदार बोलते थे, वो सब बकवास मैंने पढ़ा इतिहास में। मैं भी 10वीं तक ही पढ़ा हूँ इतिहास। पर ये चोल के बारे में और विजयनगर के बारे में कुछ नहीं पढ़ा। सब बाद में पता चला,
मैंने तो नहीं
थोड़ा
पढ़ा
बहुत जो पता
इतिहास।
चला मुझे।
मैंने इतिहास पढ़ा ही नहीं, इसलिए मैं बच गया।
Yeah. So okay. So we are about to finish the stream. So Rishi, do you have anything to say? Final word to you. उसके बाद we will do one more announcement. Important announcement करना है. Go ahead.
Okay. So got to know new things about Bappa his alliances with so many kings, after all, with Gurjara Pratihara, with Chalukyas. So many kings actually united and stood against the invasive Arab forces and also defeated them. Then we got to know so many new information like establishment of new cities in Afghanistan, marriage alliances with local tribes over there, and settling them as the rulers of those parts, which really shows his uh, mm, फ्यूचर लाइक दूरदृष्टि बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में वो स्किल्स जो बापा रावल जी के पास थे we got to learn about those things so overall amazing chapter
Got
अच्छा,
it. Thank you.
इसमें एक ऐड करूंगा, जो अलायंस था ना दादा, ये जब
Hmm.
बपाराल से चालू, आई थिंक उससे पहले भी था, पर उन्होंने जो एस्टेब्लिश किया ना, वो पृथ्वीराज चौहान तक चला था। पृथ्वीराज चौहान में गड़बड़ क्या की, उसने सबसे लड़ लिया सारे हिंदू किंग से, तो कोई उसको अलायंस में साथ देने नहीं आया। प्रॉब्लम ये हो गई थी।
Got it. Got it. Understood. Yes. So, okay. So there's one announcement. So what happened? So what we'll do, actually, we got a request from few of our members and also of subscribers to actually start doing book recommendations. So as we can understand from Abhay, from Shekhar, from Rishi, and many others who communicate to us that the kind of history which is taught in our schools, textbooks, in colleges, and other reference material is something which is a little bit flawed in terms of the way they are not teaching the linear history that should be taught. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a playlist, a kind of playlist or kind of list of books that can be read by common individuals who are interested in learning about the history. So we'll create a kind of a playlist, not a playlist, but a list of books which can be read in sequence for people to actually understand and learn about the real history. So in coming up streams, we are going to list down the books. We'll do it on a stream itself. We'll discuss those books, those contents, maybe 3 or 5 books at max. We'll take 5 books of a certain period or certain region, and we'll talk about them. We'll talk how to get those books and what's inside them, so that people who listen to those streams will understand, okay, if I want to learn about Vijayanagar Empire, I can read these 5 books. If I want to learn about the Maharanas, the Rajputs of Rajasthan, which books I should read. So we'll be working on this. We'll do our research and we'll find out the books, authentic books which are there, and we will then give the recommendations to the our audience over the stream. We'll discuss those books in smaller detail, not to give away everything, and then people can actually know which books they can read to actually get a proper understanding of our linear history rather than the stopgap history which is taught in our schools and colleges. Yeah. So on that note, we will end today's stream. So thank you, people who are watching on Twitter, people who are watching on X, people are watching on YouTube, and also to the audience, Didi, Abhay, and others who gave suggestions. So also asked some questions, important questions, comments were there. So we took them, and we wish every one of you that you stay safe, you stay healthy, and we have live streams coming from tomorrow onwards, where we will see MS on Bangla stream. We will have also author of the book, Eminent Historians. Let me just show you and give a glimpse of it. So let me go here. So this Sunday or Saturday, we will have the author of this book, Eminent Historians, Mr. Utpal Kumar, who would be available to answer your questions. We will discuss his books, his contents, and his aspirations, why he wrote this book. So he will be there. We will also have one or two. We will also do a stream on the Mahakumbh. So we have one of our panelists who came to us on our programs earlier. She will talk about Devani Bhattacharya. She will talk about her experience of experiencing Mahakumbh, and how her journey was a journey of devotion. So that we will also talk about in our coming up streams this week itself. So we have a packed programming coming up for till Sunday, where we will have Mahakumbh, we have books, we will have MS talk about Bengali entrepreneurship. We'll also have talk about spiritual Ayurvedic medicine. So we'll have a panelist who will come and talk about the Ayurvedic principles, panelists, and how Ayurveda can actually help us lead a healthy life. We will have anecdotes and other things. So, okay, Chava movie. We okay. What I will do is I will ask Bijidda to do the Chava movie review, because I haven't watched a movie for last 15 years in totality. Okay, so I don't consume common media. Okay, I only consume books and some specific material online. Okay, apart from that, I don't consume any kind of entertainment that you consume. So I will ask Bichidda to come and give his review of Java in coming week. So there you can see the review and other things will happen. But I am not a very consumer of entertainment as such. So I will leave it to the audience and also to the panelists to give a review. Yeah, I will. But for this week from Thursday onwards, we will have streams of content on Bengali, on Hindi, on English, on various topics, books, entrepreneurship, Ayurveda, history, spirituality is coming up. So do subscribe to our channel and support us whatever way you can, so that we can continue producing the content, variety of content, invite authors, discuss books. So your help is required. So do consider helping us in whatever way possible by watching our content, by subscribing to our channel, and also if you feel that you need additional content, we are going to produce members only content on rare books. We will discuss members only discussion groups, recommendations we will have. So if you want more from us, do consider taking membership of our channel. So that will help us a lot. So on that, thank you everyone for joining. Your contributions are really appreciated. So thank you. Jai Shri Ram. Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.